Want to talk to you about a couple things. The last few years, we've done what we always do, and we've done our normal fundraising thing throughout the holiday season. And to be honest, December's our most generous month. December and January are both huge months for us as far as fundraising is concerned. And we appreciate that a great deal, and it helps fuel what we do for the rest of the year. This year, we've done a little something different. We've created a catalog on our website that people can go to, and much like the rest of our online shopping these days, just shop for things that we're going to use at the ranch anyway. It's just a way to personalize your gift to go to certain things. Everything from meals for kids to meals for horses. You can even go as high as a computer for kids, or welcome baskets for when new kids come into our program, or birthday cakes and stuff like that. And all of this is really designed to do something important, which is to help connect the people that care about kids but aren't involved in our work to be more involved in what we do. And I think we really do a bad job in our world today of actually talking about the issues that kids are facing. We kind of look at it through the lens of 1965 or 1975 or whatever year we kind of have etched in our brain. The issues around kids haven't changed a whole lot in the time that I've been alive. The attitude towards talking about it has. And when I was a kid, there were certain things that were shame-based. And what was shameful in 1975 is now courageous to talk about in 2019. And that's a big transition for a short amount of time. We deal with a lot of things at the ranch. We deal with a lot of kids that are dealing with issues that have been sources of shame and sources of embarrassment for a long time. We get to the ranch and we start having to deal with those issues. And then you find out that what kids are carrying is oftentimes a lot more significant than you ever thought. And so a lot of times at the ranch, we end up with getting a kid in our program. We have this honeymoon phase. They come in, everything's fine. And then all of a sudden they start building some meaningful relationships, and then they start breaking down walls. And most people look at that and they go, oh, you know what? Oh, that's so special. A kid starts breaking down walls. Really, that's the time that we have to deal with those kids wanting to run away. A lot of people don't recognize that. If you've never trusted somebody, or you haven't trusted somebody in a long time, and all of a sudden you start feeling yourself getting into that vulnerable space of trusting somebody, your first instinct oftentimes is to run away from that situation. And we deal with that a lot with kids. You'll be going along and all of a sudden you'll have this wonderful breakthrough on something. And then the next thing they're like, I want to go home. Like, what the heck? We just had a really solid experience. And you can't talk them out of it because they want to get away from the situation. A lot of times, in families, this dynamic happens too. The relationship between parents and children oftentimes gets strained. Usually it's minor strains. Didn't get the shoes you wanted, or, mom's, not willing to take off work to take me to Disneyland every Thanksgiving, whatever it is. But then you start getting into these good places and trust, and you start sharing things. And whenever that happens, a lot of times brings up a lot of long-standing issues and trust issues, and kids start wanting to get away from that. As parents, we take it personally a lot of times. We start getting angry at their withdrawal. This is a normal thing, though. I mean, even if you think about normal relationships, there's times of closeness and there's times of limited closeness or less closeness. And we freak out when it's our kids because we're fearful that they're never coming back to us. I haven't found that to be very true in my life. Most of the time kids come back around and they do want to connect again, and they do want to have a conversation again, and they do want to work past things. But man, sometimes it's easy to run. And if you come from a long line of runners, if you come from a long line of people who, whenever they face really significant emotional issues, they withdraw, they retreat, they run, you view that as the normal way to deal with it. And it's really difficult to break those patterns or break those chains. And so when we talk about the stuff we do at the ranch, and we talk about how important it is to continue to do the work we do, what we're doing is we're breaking long-standing generational patterns of behavior. We may be on our fourth or fifth generation of kid that runs from their problems, or we may be on our fourth or fifth generation of kids that has taken out their frustrations about the world on themselves, whether it's addiction or cutting or eating disorders or whatever it is. We may be on a generation that we had no idea we were on. And the reason is because families don't talk about it. If you're a 40-year-old mom and you were really struggling with body image when you were 17 and you have a daughter, sometimes the last thing you want to do is talk to your kid about the struggle you had when you were 17. Interesting side note. The one thing that can help that struggling 17-year-old may be somebody with a similar story. And we find this all the time that people don't actually sit down and have the conversation. I don't know what it's like to have a whole lot of body image issues. Now, I'm a dude, first of all, so all I really had to do was be funny, and that would gloss over any of my less than aesthetically pleasing traits. But I was also tall. And so for guys, being over 6 feet tall and being able to be funny is two things that you can't really put a price tag on. So body image issues are foreign to me, and so I don't always understand them. What I do understand, though, is not understanding how you fit into the world, being different than your parents. So a lot of times sharing those kind of vulnerability stories and saying, I was at this place one time where I was struggling with that, and it's normal to struggle with that, and you can work through it, is really what a kid needs to hear. But if you're on your fifth generation of family and that dysfunction is always closed down and hidden and not talked about, you feel like you're the first one that's ever experienced it, and you feel like you're alone. And then you make decisions based on that. And at the ranches, we're trying to get better decisions to be made. We're not trying to get no decisions to be made. We're trying to just get better ones made. And getting people to make better decisions means you have to change the outlook on what they're facing. So if I make decisions based on how emotionally uncomfortable something is, I'm going to have to change my outlook if I want to make different decisions based on that emotional discomfort. And so when you're giving a gift to the ranches to help with what we do, you're not just giving a meal here, or you're not just giving a bale of hay to a horse. What you're doing is you're giving us the opportunity to have enough time to break some of those longstanding cycles for kids. And to be honest, sometimes we don't have enough time. We don't get into the issue fast enough. We don't get the right set of circumstances set up, and we lose a kid. And it really is a struggle for our staff when we lose a kid that we had a lot of hope for, but they just couldn't find a way to see a different perspective yet. On the flip side of that, though, we do have a lot of stories where kids finally saw something different and they decided they weren't going to be the same as the people that came before them. They were going to make some different choices. They were going to love their family, but not follow in exactly their footsteps. And that's what we do. And so if you're looking to be involved with a charity, or you're looking to be involved with a group that is looking to help kids make better choices, that's what the ranch is all about. And a lot of times I find that there are basically two classes of parents, those that are having a lot of struggles and those that everybody thinks is perfect. And I'm just going to go ahead and say it out loud. People with perfect kids, they're struggling too. I don't have perfect kids, but they seem that way most of the time. They're very low maintenance. They're very low impact on my life. They all come to work with me and can sit in a room and be comfortable with, a governor and a homeless person in the same day. But yeah, there's sometimes struggles that they face, and the more perfect a family seems, the more quiet their struggle is. And so everybody on the planet is struggling when they're between the ages of 12 and 18 years old. And if you want to help somebody navigate that, help your kids first. But if you have an opportunity to help other people's kids, the ranch is a great place to do that. And so we encourage you and invite you to come to our website, check out our catalog of hope, and look at how you can make a big difference in the lives of kids. Understand that donation isn't just for today. That donation is for every generation that comes after in that family, because hopefully this is the generation that decides we're not going to be ashamed. We're going to talk about it, and we're going to start making better choices based on talking about it and working through it instead of running from it. So I encourage you to come check it out. I appreciate you joining us on this podcast. We'll be back in next week with another episode, and hopefully Kylie will be with us again. Ted'll be sitting there without a microphone again, so that'll be great. But thank you for listening. We really appreciate it.